We're actually looking for a good restaurant to eat today. So it's gonna take a good 30-minute or so walk to get to the place, but hopefully it's worth it. But we're gonna go check it out. Hello everyone, this is Ron and Blue. Just taking my daily walk here today in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, Borneo, East Malaysia. Really long to say, but today's topic would be on couples and money. So this topic is pretty tough to talk about for a lot of people, especially for couples. The reason being is because no matter what you say, you can feel like you want to take care of somebody else and feel awkward about it, or where you get someone else to take care of you and you still feel awkward about it. So it's all about really splitting the expenses on who pays for what, and it's a tough situation sometimes for couples to be in, and I just like to talk about some of those points. But what a lot of people like to do is they like to keep those things separate, right? I mean, separate bank accounts, and it becomes a little bit harder to know how much the other person is, you know, what they're doing with their extra expenses. For us personally, we have our own joint account, so we know exactly what's coming in, what's coming out, and then we just make compromises from there, especially if one of us needs something, or then we make a compromise. We share everything together. But we definitely have that minimalist mindset, right? So we have to kind of live like using frugality as a temporary weapon, really, to manage our expenses on a monthly basis. So that's essentially what we do. It's better to actually consolidate everything from one account, and we actually do that for our investments as well. So we don't have separate. For our main investment account, we have one lump account, but for our individual ones, for our retirement funds, we do have that separated. But the point is that everything is being placed into accounts that are in the long term beneficial for us financially. So another point is that you got to really look at your finances very carefully, because, well, it's the number one reason why couples, you know, break up or get divorced, you know, because they're not able to figure out how to manage their finances and who splits the costs on a monthly basis. So it's actually a world where relationships are kind of turning into a business contract, and as sad as that may sound, because, you know, relationships should be based on love, and but the reality is it's very expensive to live nowadays, right? And to sustain your lifestyle, because back in the 1950s you only essentially needed one job, right? And it's usually the husband who went out to work, and it was enough to sustain a lifestyle of a house, 2 kids, you know, without having to worry too much about the monthly expenses. But gradually, you know, everything's getting more expensive, and you know, the women's rights movement back in the day, you know, allowed women to become more independent and to gain their own wealth. You know, I saw a documentary, something about washing machines, how that had evolutionized the women's movement, because ever since the invention of the washing machine, women were given a lot more time, and because they had more time, you know, it brought about equality in the workforce for both genders. But in today's day and age, you know, you also not only do you have to not only is there dual income, but there's also the stagnant wages out there as well, and there's unemployment. You know, it's really tough for people to sustain their lifestyles today. And if one person does become unemployed, then the other person should be there technically to take care of the other person until another job is found, unless of course you have enough savings. But sometimes it doesn't turn out to be as easy as that, right? You know, some people don't want to take care of the other your partner, right? I mean, that's the reality of the situation. I mean, it might look obvious to take care of your partner, but sometimes reality says it doesn't turn out that way, right? But luckily for us, you know, we both had kind of the same mindset and the goals towards financial independence. But because we had our goals in financial independence, you know, it made it a lot easier. That's another point that I really highly suggest you do as well as a couple. Always have one goal that you both could share in order to you know, become financially free. It's highly likely that both of you have separate incomes, right? So it's always good to, you know, sit down and really talk about how to split up all of your expenses and how much you guys should be saving for the future. I mean, you might start off renting. That's what most people do. And you may want to rent and save for a home later, right? Step by step. So two very important points to know and to follow is to be sharing and also to be fair between each other. So I know it all has to do with behavior, right? So, but then you can always automatically do things as well. You can also set up automatic payments from each individual's account, or you can, you know, if you want to keep your finances separate in a separate account, or you can just create a joint account from there and just funnel your paychecks that way. But of course, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different budgeting techniques, you know, that might be good for the individual, might be good for the couples, it might be good for the family with children. So there's no really one set way to follow. And this a good way to start would be by getting a budgeting app, and from there, you know, you can start punching in everything, and it does everything automatically to make sure that you're both on track to save for your financial goal. But sharing and compromising is key as well. You guys have to know what the difference would be between the two, because there's certain things that are necessary for the both of you. For example, for us, what happened during Christmas was sometimes we didn't buy, you know, gifts to each other individually. This might not sound very fun, but we actually came up with a solution where we try to get like a Christmas gift that benefited both of us, right? That was kind of costly, I guess. Like, you know, getting a camera, for example. We would actually wait till Christmas season and compromise, and that's when we would get those expensive items during the Christmas season. But it's really important to, you know, just sit down and to figure out what each person's attitude would be towards money, right? Maybe one person would rather live a life of frugality, where the other person, you know, wants to spend on materialism. But you can always find that middle point, right? Like I mentioned earlier, it becomes somewhat of a business contract between the both of you. And marriage, especially those who are thinking about marriage, it definitely becomes a form of a business contract, I would say, because, you know, there's a huge investment to buy a home. There's a huge investment to have children. So there's a lot of important things that you have to think about. And you know, having that financial IQ is very important. And that's something that's lacking here in our society today. And the average person having a very low personal finance IQ. But one of the worst things you can do for yourself and your partner is only have one person understand the financial situation, right? Both of you have to be involved for your finances, definitely. And it won't work if only one person was to focus on the finances. It only breeds a lot of frustration. But the bills that you have and the rent and the mortgage all has to be shared. So therefore, all of your personal finance stuff should be shared together as well. You know, and to be really open-minded. I mean, for us, it really worked out well because we had our joint account, right? We didn't have our separate personal accounts, so we knew exactly what was coming in and out of our account, and it worked out really great because any surplus that we had at the end of the month, we would always you know, send it off through our brokerage account to grow our investments. So it made a good combination there, and you know, because we had a dual income, it actually speeds up the process even faster. But you may need to communicate with each other on a daily basis sometimes, you know, because a lot of those expenses do come out regularly from both pockets, and the expenses actually come up even faster than that if you're not really tracking it. So it's very important to track everything, really. So you basically have to have similar spending habits and behaviors, and knowing exactly what each other's wants and needs would be. So looking at your wants, I mean, like I brought up before about how we actually, if it's a larger purchase, we would only buy it during the Christmas season. So, you know, changing your behavior like that, like nothing really changes or is the same for everybody. So you have to adapt to your situation because everyone's financial situation is very much unique. But there's actually some people who use an allowance system as well, especially when one person makes more money than the other. Then the person actually gives more money to the other individual. Of course, for household spending, it could be for an allowance for personal spending as well. Who knows what kind of agreement that could be made between the two of them. But sharing that joint account is a big commitment, especially you know, if you're committed to your partner longer term. But there's a lot of benefits to it as well. Like if you had your own single accounts, individual accounts, then you both have to keep a minimum. Whereas if you have a joint account, there's only one minimum amount that you need to keep. And so it makes it a little easier on using those extra funds for maybe investing it and getting some yield off of that portion. But let me tell you that if one of your goals is to become financially independent, it's very much possible to do so, and we're evidence of it. And we actually achieved financial independence in 15 years. So, you know, through minimalism and also having a frugal mindset, using frugality as a temporary weapon, a financial weapon. You know, but you know, there might be some delayed gratification there in holding off on buying certain materialisms. But once you do reach financial independence, you become time rich. And also what happens is the best thing you can do for yourself as an individual as well. And your mindset actually changes from all the other people around you as well. You start thinking from different angles other than the traditional. So that's one thing that has grown for us, for the both of us. And that's why we are here today, traveling the world and gaining more experiences and growing our characters. So that's essentially more important than you know, any kind of growth in income, I would say. But if you can get that right combination going between the both of you in coming to personal finance decisions and compromising and knowing each other very well with your spending habits, etc., it's a very powerful combination of having a dual income and knowing exactly where all of your funds are going, and then putting that extra funds towards investing as well. So the combination is saving and investing, saving and investing. So that would be a very powerful tool for you in the longer term to reach financial independence. On my blog here today, tell me what you think of couples and money in the comment section below. Maybe you can share some of your experiences below and telling the community on what works for you. If you like this vlog, please don't forget to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell for more of my coming content here. Thank you for watching my vlog. Be free, gain wealth, and travel far.